unmute myself. Hi, I'm Cassandra. I'm a lecturer in the art department. And for the third semester, I have done a unit called, I teach digital media. So we do a unit called, Is AI Art Art? In parentheses, in the context of the history of conceptual art. So we start out asking the question, can AI make art? Can AI be art? And students have opinions. We go through the lectures, we go through making, and then we stage this a debate. And it's really interesting to see how many students shift their position, how many students double down on their position, and how many people kind of come somewhere in the middle. So this unit does not come out of a vacuum. We start the semester with a unit called Complexity, Indeterminacy, and Montage, which is a way of a lead-in for learning Photoshop. And we talk a lot about the early history of digital media and how the cyberneticists and the conceptual artists were influencing each other back and forth in the 50s and 60s. And in that unit, we talk about things like recombinatorial literature. William S. Burroughs would talk about like cut up poetry, where he'd cut up poems and kind of throw things up and rearrange words. And we look at montage artists from the Dadaist era, Weimar era, World War II, who were going to magazines and newspapers and cutting things up and rearranging them and creating some sort of content, context, and meaning through images that they got from somewhere else. And then this is a Hannah Hoke photo montage from 1919 and a Don Hartfield photo montage from 1930. Oh, why is sorry, I can't get to the next slide. There we go. And then the second unit is a video unit called Time and Process. And in that unit, we talk about the dematerialization of the art object and spontaneity and the happenings of fluxus and so forth. And how the art was no longer about just an object that you hung somewhere. Art became very much about the process of making the art. And so we look at by the time we get to the AI art unit, we then bring in some of those conceptual artists like Yoko Ono, who offered instructions as the art. So her snow piece, think that snow is falling, think that the snow is falling everywhere all the time. When you talk with a person, think that snow is falling between you and on the person. Stop conversing when you think the person is covered by snow. That's a painting, says Yoko Ono. So then when we look at the AI art, oh, sorry, do you have a question?
Just real quickly, I don't think that your slides are moving. So it's still on the first slide.
It's still on the first slide.
It's the PDF.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
Should I go back to the
I can go back to whatever you're sharing, it's the PDF, and it just shows the first slide. I don't know if that's the same for everybody else.
All right. Is this better if I go back to, let me close the PDF? If I'm back on the now
maybe stop sharing and then share again. That often helps.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, thank you. So I'll try going back to the to the PowerPoint. Okay. So now you see Yoko Ono. Awesome. Let me get this to the, oops.
Don't worry, it's gonna happen to me, I'm pretty sure, when it's my turn.
Use slideshow. Okay. So we look at artists who use instructions as art. And so then when we get to the AI unit, they're using the text to image generators, which are providing instructions to the computer to make art, to fetch and scrape from the internet images that other people made. So when we first pose the question, is AI art art? One of the kickbacks that we get is, well, it's stealing other people's work, or it's not the work that I created. But then we go back and talk about, well, how is it different than what John Hartfield and Hannah Hoke were doing with their photo montage? Weren't they also stealing other people's work and reassembling it? And then there's the debate of, well, okay, it was their brain thinking about how to assemble it. And in this case, the computer's thinking about how to assemble it. But they have the let me do this one first. Sorry. So the other critique of the text to AI generators is, again, it's stealing, it's not original. I'm not creating it. Who's the author? And then we talk about postmodern artists who post challenges to things like authorship and originality. So sorry, that argument doesn't fly. We've already tread that ground in the 80s and 90s. Right? So this is Sherry Levine, who would appropriate other people's work and put her name on it, like in the style of Walker Evans, or this one's called After Walker Evans #4. And we look at Morimura, a Japanese artist who would appropriate the paintings of famous old masters, painters from the Renaissance and beyond, and then would he'd photograph himself as characters in this painting. So again, there's original thinking going on. He's in dialogue with these paintings, but he's still appropriating something from somebody else. So if you're using a text to image generator, yes, you are stealing other people's work. Yes, you are not necessarily authoring what you're scraping and grabbing from the internet, but other artists have done this in other contexts. And we talk about how IP law was such, intellectual property law was such a mess in the 80s and 90s because these artists were appropriating other people's work. And so then they have an assignment whereby they need to use the text to image generators to create a minimum of 10 images and arrange those into some sort of graphic novel. Or they can make a video by putting stills into a timeline, which they already learned how to do in the video unit. Or they can do a performance. And it was actually a student one semester who came up with this idea. And I said, hey, can I use that from now on? She was a world builder. I have no doubt she'll go into video games. She was a world builder, and she would create these beautiful kind of like stage sets. Like I have a fake background in Zoom. This was a semester we were online. So she used the AI to create these stage sets that would be her fake background, and she would do performances, and it was fabulous. So I brought that into the semesters going forward. So far, she's still the only person that's done it though. But I had originally required them to do 15 images, and they got so passionate about it, they were up all night. And so I reduced it to 10 because it sounds so easy, like just generate 10 images. That's 10 seconds. But it's actually, they find quickly, it's really, really difficult to get the computer to create the kind of image that you want. And the computer actually isn't doing all the work, that you're actually putting a lot of thought into it. And then when you have a series of images, like 10 and it's a minimum of 10 for a graphic novel, then you need to get some sort of consistency among the images so that they read as a story, so that there's continuity. And then if you're trying to bring out some sort of emotion, we've had some beautiful tragedies in terms of stories, we've had 2 about loss that were we made us weep, right? And so how do you get the computer to evoke these emotions in people? So they find out it's not so easy as just typing something in and boom, the computer makes your art. There is actually a lot of thought in it. And it actually, over the years, has made me pose this question to myself: can text to image generators actually make you a better writer? So, we fear ChatGPT and what that will do to students' writing skills. And it's kind of funny, I have so much fun with the text to image generators, but I find ChatGPT like an existential threat. Like ChatGPT causes me anxiety because I feel like running and writing are the 2 things I do best in life. And if suddenly ChatGPT to do it so well, like why? What's my role now in life? But somehow the text to image generators, they're not as threatening to me. They're fun. I don't quite understand that. But But what I've found is in order to make the computer do what you want it to do, to make the generator do what you want it to do, you have to get more and more and more specific in how you describe and how you use your words. And I didn't realize that going into the project. So that was kind of interesting. So some student work. A lot of the student work comes out looking like children's books, like very illustration type look. And so I really appreciate those students who push the AI to get kind of painterly. So this was a